Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Brian Altano. I'm here with Jared Petty.
Look at this, Star Wars!
Two of the biggest Star Wars fans here at IGN. Now, we thought we had seen enough Star Wars for the year until The Force Awakens comes out on December 18th or the 17th if you got it early.
You thought you'd seen enough Star Wars.
I thought we had seen enough.
I want more Star Wars.
You want more?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
well, we got
Spoil
more
the
today.
Whole thing for me.
There was an international trailer specifically for the Japanese audiences that came out this morning.
Star
Wars that apparently has a ton of new footage in it. So we thought we'd dig through some of the stills and find some of the coolest new stuff in it. So right off the bat, right here, this is the first shot of the new trailer, and it's a brand new shot, which is very fascinating. So what are we looking at here, Jared?
Well, right here, we're looking at what's probably the engine cavity for an Imperial Star Destroyer or Super Star Destroyer. We've seen both crashed on Jakku. I'm not sure which, and I'm suspecting that this figure out in front of that, just judging from the says, maybe Rey from a long distance. We know that Rey's a scavenger. We know that she's here on the planet Jakku. We've seen scenes of her moving around inside wrecked starships. This may very well be part of that same
Which is kind of an interesting concept, right? That there was this huge war here on the planet of Jakku. It took place 30-something years before the movie. You'll be able to play it in Battlefront, actually.
Yeah, and
which is really
we
cool.
know more and more about this. Apparently, this is the climactic battle where the Rebel Alliance and the Galactic Empire finally just reached the place where the war grinded to a halt. They're just like, we know that now from some of the supplemental sources, that this is where the Empire just said, fine, we're going to divide the universe up.
And she's like, I'm going to go in there and find some of those med packs and guns and whatever I can find that's still sitting inside of these massive down ships.
So let's move to the next frame here. All right, well, once again on Jakku.
Yep. Now, this was a familiar shot from one of the older trailers, but I wanted to go back to it because it's really interesting. That is obviously an AT-AT Imperial Walker foot.
Right. You told me you actually built this as a model.
I built one of the model kits for it. I was really big into AT-ATs and ATSDs when I was a kid growing up.
Well, they're awesome.
Yeah, they're really cool designs. So this is if you actually go look up a picture of what one of them looks like, this is a foot, and I think it's her house. It might just be this. It's really cool to think that she lives in like a sideways Imperial Walker.
I love this that we're a month away from The Force Awakens, and the AT-AT foots were one of the very first, or AT-AT foots, AT-AT feet, are one of the very first things to leak back at the very beginning of production. We got photographs of them from a distance. Now, kind of circling around, here it is again.
Yeah.
And also off in the distance, that looks to me like the profile of a Corellian Corvette taking off, or a Rebel Blockade Runner. I'm not sure, though.
Yeah, and we've seen a couple shots in the trailer that sort of illustrate that these are ships that are leaving the planet, and Rey is kind of stranded there, or kind of being like, when's my turn?
She's just sitting there like, yep, I'm a very Luke Skywalker evocative.
Yeah, that Luke Skywalker looking into the sunset. Speaking of sunsets, we've got another one here. That's her speeder bike whizzing by in the middle. And we have a couple of characters just kind of walking around. And I don't really think this is meant to illustrate that these characters are of any importance, but more to show you how desolate Jakku is and what life is like there.
Yeah,
it's
so
a massive desert.
Tatooine. That Luke Skywalker trapped. I want to get out, want to do more, want to see more of the universe.
And we actually, we've seen some of the marketplace areas. We actually saw it in the J.J. Abrams charity video that he did.
Yeah.
So there is some sort of more lively type of marketplace areas there, merch and stuff like that. But we haven't really seen the downtown Mos Eisley ships taking off kind of thing just yet. You know.
Nope. Just the sticks.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Just
Here.
the
Oh
sticks.
wow. Okay. This.
Really beautiful, very Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, that's where mine went too. I was just like, holy cow, this is straight out Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, gorgeous shot. This is brand new for the trailer. We get to see some of the kind of rockier side of Jakku in the background.
Yeah, this is just a lovely shot.
Yeah.
Here. Moving on. Okay, so for the first time we see a flame trooper in action. This is also probably Jakku, judging from the ground and the scenery in the background.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the same sort of architecture. Actually, I got really into this design. I picked up some of the Black Series figures, and one thing you'll notice is that you'll see in some of the promo art, there's a shot of Kylo Ren standing in front of some of the stormtroopers and snowtroopers and flame troopers, and if you see that sort of red pad on their shoulder, they're the kind of the commander of the group.
Okay, and now what I love here with this guy also, I'm pretty sure that 30 years ago, this is what happened to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
Yeah.
I think flame trooper. Totally.
Gross.
Yeah, that's my thought. Moving on. Okay, I love this. So many things going on here. First, take note of that background. That's going to be important later. But now let's talk about everybody's favorite Force Awakens topic, Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
Right. Definitely one of the most divisive things since this movie came into fruition and in people's eyes and minds is that this saber is non-traditional in terms of lightsabers. Lightsabers are non-traditional in terms of logic, so that's okay. A lot of people are very mad about this thing. I think it's really awesome. Now, immediately we were supposed to understand that this imposing Darth Vader-esque character was carrying one of the most badass sabers in history. I don't think it's that calculated. This saber is finicky. It is janky. It is kind of stuttering and flickering and
It's
sputtering
homebrew.
all over the place.
Yeah,
It's homebrew.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
tight
that's
like
very-
folks build a lightsaber.
It's building your own PC at home, you know.
Exactly.
It's a little rough around the edges, but it gets the job done.
Exactly.
So the way we see this thing power up is actually the centerpiece pops out first, and then the sides come out next. We've seen that in some of the earlier trailers, but you actually get to see it sputter and flicker a lot. My theory is that you're going to see at some point, either in this film or if Kylo Ren happens to live past this film, later in the trilogy, a scene where this lightsaber will malfunction.
Like it'll actually
mid-fight.
fail.
I think it'll actually fail, and something will happen to him. He'll be
That-
sitting there, kind of like shaking it.
Shaking head, and
You know,
trying to
make
get
it work. Kind of like a
you
guy
said
on a mountaintop holding his iPhone onto
And
the
you
sky.
said at one point to me in a conversation we were having, you kind of feel like Kylo Ren's almost cosplaying as an awesome supervillain.
as a badass guy,
Yeah.
but you know he doesn't really. I don't know if he really has the history to back that up.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe he's an ambitious young man.
So yeah, we'll see.
Let's see. We'll move on here. Okay, now this explosion, we've actually seen this shot before, but remember back here we were looking
Poor
at those
Gonk droid
panels?
right in the middle
We
there.
cut forward here. I wonder if this isn't the same room that we're seeing exploding.
I could ask you a question. This guy sitting underneath the two old arcade cabinets there. You think he makes it?
Oh, does he make it? Does he
Yeah.
survive? He's taking cover, so I'm wondering if that could be one of our heroes even.
He might
Actually,
survive.
it looks like it looks like he's deliberately taking cover
Yeah.
while an explosion goes on. So this could
dropped the
be
contact lens.
this could be that same scene, but I'm not sure. I do like the
Right.
background and the coloration on the panels looks very similar.
Mhm.
So whatever's happening here, but we have seen this shot before. I also love like the one little mouse droid
Yeah.
in the middle of all this. He's just like, bah, 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 bah. All right, on to the next. This shot here, I love. Here we have Princess Leia Organa, Oscar Isaac's Poe Dameron, and C-3PO all together in what looks for all the world. Oh, and look, there's Chewbacca's bandolier over C-3PO's shoulder. They're all here together. So Chewie, C-3PO, Poe Dameron, Leia, and in the background, that same panel, like the Death Star will be in range in 30 minutes. Very Yavin 4, very rebel based. Now, we don't know a lot about the Resistance, but what do you see here, Brian?
I think it's pretty fascinating because we've seen Poe Dameron in various concept shots. He's actually not on the poster, which is really weird.
Well, he's on it. He's just little.
Oh, he's very tiny.
Yeah, he's little.
But we don't really see him front and center in the big part of it, and which is weird. It feels like they're pulling back on him a little, but we haven't seen him in this context particularly, which is really cool because it's very evocative of the original trilogy. They're in these kind of planning rooms, you know.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see him here. I don't know what happens with him and Kylo Ren. In the last trailer, the official trailer, we saw that sort of juxtaposition of Kylo Ren putting his hand out, possibly reading his thoughts or blowing up his home planet. We don't really know how he fits into the story right now. Plus, we get C-3PO's red arm. You can't actually see it in this shot.
Yeah, it's hidden.
I wonder if they're going to explain that one. I hope not. I hope they just leave it.
Just leave it that way. Just like whatever. I got this arm. I got to go on.
It's kind of like when you see a car that gets crashed and somebody replaces the door with a different door. You know, like at a cheap auto body shop.
Just like it makes sense.
A couple of Jawas gave him a good deal.
C-3PO's had a rough life.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's really fussy, but he has a lot of reason to be.
So now another thing I wanted to point out, using this shot as an example, and if you go back to that lightsaber shot as well, it seems like there are some things in this movie that are sort of like, hey, maybe you should see this movie in 3D.
Oh,
you know?
this pointing out here and this shot here, and
Yeah,
like, hey,
and a couple more.
Okay, I despise 3D.
Yeah,
I really
I'm not the
don't
biggest
do it.
fan of it. I am seeing it 3D opening night and then 2D the next day.
Oh wow, you're doing it backwards.
Yeah. So
Whoa.
I wanted to see that first showing.
Oh my god. Well, that's important.
Well, let's
I understand
continue.
that. All right, moving ahead from here. I do like also before we move on, just characteristic. We've talked about this before, but look at the side of that X-wing. It's a lived-in galaxy.
These are
This is the janky, beat-up, busted old Star Wars from the original trilogy.
They sell a toy of Poe's blue X-wing, so you can go check that out. If
There's
you
the
want
blue one and the black
shot
one
of
you
it.
see in
Yeah,
different
they're really
places,
cool.
right.
So
Right.
that was definitely a snow planet down there, by the way.
Yeah, that's
so.
what it looks like from there. Although, it looks. Yeah, that's probably Starkiller Base. From the way it looks. Okay, there he is. The
First
man
shot of
with the
Chewie
plan.
outside of just hanging out with Han, being like, "Chewie, we're home."
Yeah,
right?
and I'm trying to figure out if this is on the Falcon or on a different installation. It's awfully tall for the
I
Falcon.
want to point out too, Chewbacca looks really good for being a 240-plus-year-old dog.
Well, as you know from the expanded universe, which is no longer canon, but still referenced as a legend, Wookiees live a long time.
Yeah, I mean, he was around during the Clone Wars. He was the only character that actually stayed around through all that, besides C-3PO, who I believe was wiped, and maybe R2 remembers it, but nobody
R2
really
remembers it, but curiously refrains from saying anything to anyone.
And
that
it's
would be
kind of
useful.
hard to understand that guy.
That could be it. Yeah.
So we get two shots at Chewie. We have one, and number two coming up. He's got Is that a thermal detonator?
Well, it's not a thermal detonator. Is a big like beach ball from space that explodes. I think this is actually the detonation unit for some kind of explosive.
Well, think about it.
But
It's been 35 years since Return of the
Yeah.
Jedi. I
I
mean,
think
how
it's a
much
trick.
how much has your iPhone changed?
this
in
is
the
like
last...
that thing that Wile E. Coyote presses down on with both
Right,
hands
right.
to blow up the red, except much smaller.
Yeah.
But I do love what I really want from this movie is Chewbacca to just have this thing and it causes explosions anywhere he wants all the time.
Yeah.
Chewbacca just walking around blowing things up.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. That could be 2 hours. Also, he's kind of got orangutan hands here.
I know, it's very
Look
cute.
at that. And there's the bowcaster in the background still. All right. I love this. This is lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's not attacking her. This is obviously I'm capturing you right now.
Yep. Or reminding her who he is, or whatever it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like there's a fear in her face, but maybe a familiarity as well.
Yeah,
And we get to see that sort of sputtering lightsaber again. And if you set it in juxtaposition with Finn's lightsaber, or Finn holding a lightsaber,
Yeah.
in the promotional and trailer stuff that we've seen so far, there's not much confidence in the technology behind his whatever Force crystal is powering this thing.
Yep. And again, that forest world in the background that we've seen some. Is this the same one that it's snowing on later on?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the ones we don't know the name of yet.
Yeah.
So.
Cutting ahead here, quick shot. Now, we've seen plenty of shots of the Starkiller base battle, but here we see BB in his role as astromech droid, probably in the back of Poe Dameron's X-Wing.
Yeah.
We've seen this in the toys, but I think this is the first trailer we actually really clearly see BB acting as an astromech, just like R2.
Yep.
So yeah, he can sit back
And there's
there.
that, as you can see, there's that big divide in the ground in the background there,
Yeah.
where we think is the Starkiller base. Now, if you look at the trench run on the original Death Star, it's very similar to that, right? It's cut into the planet,
Right.
but that was its own entity. This is a planet, so they basically just built that thing. The new Death Star is built into a planet.
That's what it
basically.
seems to be. Yeah,
That's the theory,
it's,
right?
That's the idea is that Starkiller base is actually the super weapon itself, like the planet
BB,
itself.
by the way, BB-8 is babbling like crazy in this video.
Yeah, he talks
it's
a lot.
really
in this.
great.
He's like,
Yeah, blah, 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 blah.
I like him.
Oh, he's adorable.
Yeah, I want to give him a hug. All right. Once again, another of those shots that makes you think about 3D. Now, we've seen the Millennium Falcon chase through the ruins, but this is from a different angle, cutting through the superstructures of the wrecked ships all over Jakku. Now, you wanted to point something out from this shot. We've seen this shot before, but we're getting a really clear look now at that other hand.
Yeah, so this character has a ring on its finger, and it's got a sort of yellowish hand, and it's a small hand. It's much smaller than a human hand.
Right.
And that weird kind of alien fingernail thing.
So it could be one of two things. It could either be a jaundiced 6-year-old.
Yeah, or Luke's,
it could be
Luke's
Maz
not doing
Kanata.
great.
Yeah, or it could be Maz Kanata.
I think it's Maz Kanata, who we see front and center, very small, on the Force Awakens official poster that came out a couple of weeks ago. That's Lupita Luongo's character. We hadn't seen what it looked like for a while. If you actually look up, we've seen pictures of her doing mocap and facial mocap for this character, but we haven't really seen what she looks like front and center. I suspect we won't for a while. Probably not until the movie comes out.
It could also be Bilbo Baggins. And
That's right.
All right,
That's
cutting ahead here. This is rad. Okay, so I wish we could show you this in motion. Rey runs up to this here combat stick and just grabs it, and she looks so competent in this shot, like somebody who knows how to move fluidly, who understands fighting.
Yep, that's her weapon. I mean, Jakku's a nasty place. She's a scavenger. She's got to fend people off. We saw in some of the toys, actually, there was this character named Unkar and his thug who captured BB-8 in a net, and we do see these two characters interacting at the start of the trailer. So I think that she does rescue BB-8 at some point. They become friends. They go on this adventure. Yeah. We don't know exactly what BB-8 has. Maybe it's a message. Maybe it's something else. My theory is he's sort of the MacGuffin of this movie in the way R2 carried a holographic message. I think BB-8 might carry something a little more tangible, possibly a saber.
Perhaps a lightsaber. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
She's awesome with this staff, which means that she'll be awesome with something a little more Star Wars traditional weapon-wise if she ever gets her hand on it. Such as a lightsaber. Now, we've seen this shot a couple of times. Finn, I'm still not entirely convinced, knows exactly what he's doing with these things.
Oh, no, I think there's an entire possibility that we're being led astray here and that this is actually going to be the weapon that ends up in Rey's hands or even Poe's.
Yeah, we know he goes head-to-head with Kylo Ren in this scene. We've actually seen that happen. There's a definite fear in his face when that happens. He's a stormtrooper. Yeah. He's a stormtrooper that's wearing Poe Dameron's jacket in this shot. Yeah. I don't know how that happened.
None of his possessions are his own. He's carrying somebody else's lightsaber, wearing somebody else's coat. Yeah. Finn's having a rough time here.
Yeah, he's talking about cosplaying, right?
I mean, he's always looking sweaty and scared.
Yeah.
But then again, he's having a rough day.
Yep.
You kind of get that opinion. Or and then finally, okay, now we've seen sad Rey before, but here there's a lot going on here.
I'll start with the theories that we already know are wrong. Okay. The one I started with was that's Chewbacca because that's hair flickering in the distance. But you pointed out that if you actually scrub through it, those are kind of really wilted, weedy-looking trees in the background that aren't
that are
part
actually
of
behind. I don't think that's actually fur.
Yeah. And there is a light gleaming on her face, which kind of infers that whatever just did whatever to whatever is down the ground is escaping in a ship right now.
Yeah, there's like
it's
that
taking off.
running light thing going on.
So who do you think this is?
Okay, well, you look at the left side of the frame here, and
Yeah.
you can see what looks to be brown leather, and I think that cuts it down to two people. This is either whoever's wearing Poe Dameron's jacket, which is probably Finn in this scene from what I've seen, or, and I'm going to hold on to this, I think Han Solo is toast in this movie.
Really?
And we've seen Han in the jacket, and yeah, really, I think Han Solo, 99.5% chance Han Solo is dead by the end of this.
And
movie.
you think he gets it right here?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
But I do think that he's also wearing a leather jacket. The thing is, his color on his jacket is darker.
Yeah. So
And
here
that
it's
makes
a
me
lighter
think that this
jacket. There's
could be
actually some red sections of fabric there or leather.
Yeah. So
I think this is Finn.
I think Finn's a good guess. I'm still going to go with Han. I'm going to say this is Han.
Okay. I'm going to say
may be
this is Finn, and I'm going to say he's not dead, but in traditional Star Wars fashion, he's going to lose a limb somewhere.
Or an eye.
Or a couple of things.
Yeah. Or,
you know?
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I mean, luckily, hand technology has advanced a lot since Bespin.
Yeah, that's true. And, eye patches, Ken Cosgrove on Mad Men proved to us that eye patches are always awesome.
That's right. So I guess we'll find out more when The Force Awakens hits on December 18th or 17th if you got opening night tickets.
Woohoo! Like
God,
me.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
This is so awesome. I can't believe we're getting a new Star Wars
Yeah,
movie.
it's a good trailer, guys. Check the whole thing out. Thank you so much. Also, we've got some other Star Wars stuff going up today, and it's a busy time. Check it all out. Let us know how you're excited, what you're looking for.
Yeah, if you got theories for what you saw in the trailer that we might have missed, let us know. Tweet them at us. I'm at Agent Bizzle. Brian Altano. This is at Petty, Jared. It's all one word. Let us know, and stay tuned to IGN for all things Star Wars. We're only getting started. There's a brand new trilogy coming, and we could not possibly be more excited.
Woohoo!
Star Wars.
Ichiwawa.